Bonjour, bonsoir. How are you, dear friends? We are building the most inspiring and phenomenal communities of wine lovers. As we all know, wine is the catalyst of the greatest discussion. We'll be talking wine, but of course food, and everything that touches all our emotion and senses. Bonjour, bonsoir, dear friends. This is JCB Live. I'm so excited that people are seeing us and with us. I'm with a very famous Napa Valley entrepreneur. His name is Joe Gott. His name is on the building. He's an amazing family, many generations in the heart of Napa. His family were working at Inglenook way back, and he decided with his wife not only to start a great winery, Joe Gott of course, but take over the institution of Napa. And guess where he is? Right here! Joe! Woo!
Whoa.
Is that an entry?
Thank you, John Charles.
Well, it's a pleasure, Joe. Ladies and
Cheers.
gentlemen, the famous Joe Gott, one of the most incredible wine label in America, and of course, the man himself. Joe,
And the most incredible, John Charles.
well, you're very kind.
Yes.
So we are sitting or standing in front of your amazing new place. Tell us about it and this unbelievable history.
I'll give you the
Fabulous.
warp speed history. So the warp history is in 1999, we got it because we wanted to open a fruit stand here, like a roadside fruit stand under the car park. The burger stand had been closed for a couple years. My brother and I thought, you know what, we can take a risk. We'll rebuild it. We tried to remodel it. The building literally fell over in '99. That was in May. September, we finally opened up, and like perfect, right place, right time, right menu in Napa on 29, and it took off. And so that was 20 years ago. So we just had our 20th anniversary. And what we've really seen is because of the big outdoor seating, because of having wines like your wines on the list, we end up with, people want a relaxing event, more casual event in Napa in between going to all the great wineries and amazing restaurants. So,
Well, what an instinct to buy it. So
Sure.
tell us, it was here since 1939 as a hamburger.
yeah.
And
It was like a roadside stand, it was like the greasy spoon. So in the 40s, it was, you can imagine what the food was like. It was probably local, fresh. By the 60s and 70s, it became frozen, probably not so great. By the 80s, when I knew it, it was like where you could hear the microwave go off. And then it just fizzled in the 90s. It just, they never kept up with current food. It wasn't very exciting. Then we just happened to have the wherewithal to think that, maybe people want to have good wine, they
That's
want to
right.
have beer, they want to have fresh food, they want to have things like, ahi, or like a pokey taco, or they want to have tomato mozzarella sandwiches. And being around all this great food in the valley and great wine, it was really
so you
easy
really
to source
expanded the
it.
menu.
Yeah, so the menu, historically in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, through the 90s, it was just a burger and fries and maybe
Which is cool too, really.
an okay
All
milkshake.
American.
Yeah. But I mean, how much of that are you going to eat?
Yeah.
So, with our menu, we just made the menu huge. It's like a Rubik's Cube. You can turn the dial and a million different things you can get out of it. And so,
Suzanne, your food is ready.
what we're really known for, like if I had to think about it, everybody thinks of us as a hamburger stand.
Yes.
But where we get the engagement and the foodies and the people that are the locals eat here all the time is we sell a lot of fish, a lot of chicken, and a ton of salads. And our specials are neat and they're fun. Like right now we're doing lobster rolls.
Oof, I love it. Hopefully it's coming soon. I cannot wait to see it.
Yes.
What's the evolution of food in America, do you think, these days?
The evolution of food, you can look at a trend like Impossible Burger,
Yes.
which Impossible Burger has done an amazing job on a national platform of a plant-based protein. Where I think that evolution will go is that will always, now it'll play a real role because of the amount of publicity that they receive. Where I see that evolution going, though, is probably more people willing to experiment with it.
That's right.
But we still have our core beef eaters and our core poultry eaters
Yes.
and fish eaters. I think we're going to, in the next generation, there'll be another core of plant-based protein eaters that maybe are easy to venture out and
Yeah.
have a piece of fish or chicken or something.
Yeah, I feel like it. So you have an Impossible Burger on the menu.
Yes,
And it's doing well.
it does very well.
And does it
People
do
love
well with this amazing Sauvignon
Sauvignon
Blanc?
Blanc, yes.
Dear friends, you got to realize Joe Gott started his winery on a credit card. Would you want to share that? Because this is pretty amazing. A few years ago, you said, I'm from Napa, I want to be in the wine business.
Yeah, a few years ago, you're giving me half a life ago.
You know, he looks very young because he's a big athlete. You know, he does all kinds of sports. He's tell us about it, but you know, you don't know he's 120.
That's enough wine. So my wife Sarah and I, when we were boyfriend girlfriend in the 90s, got those credit cards you got in the mail, and it came with checks. So we used the checks to buy grapes and barrels in '96. At that time, she worked at Joseph Phelps as the enologist. Later became the head winemaker. So she had a great winemaking education.
Wow. Amazing.
And it, like, our whole goal with it was really well-made wines for the price point that we could afford, which was all $20 and under. And so we just started making wines from around California that we loved.
So you got married before you made wine or after?
After.
Oh, good. So
wine first, then marriage.
Started business together can work.
Yes.
How many years has it been together?
26.
And how is it to work with your wife?
She wins all the conversations. She is the decision maker, the president. No, it's great. We have a great balance. She is the artist and the chemist. I figure out, and we have an amazing team. So, you know, like we have a head winemaker that's been here for, you know, almost 20 years. That worked with Sarah Lisa Jacobson at Joseph Phelps. So we have an amazing dedicated team. So for Sarah and I, it's a great balance.
And how do you balance, you know, husband and wife at home, because you have great kids? Yep. Obviously, I've met many of them now. How many? 3?
Our kids go to school together.
Together. And it's quite amazing to succeed, to have a personal and professional life together. What is the key advice you would give to all our friends?
Well, I think advice would have to come from you, but I would guess that probably the best thing for Sarah and I that works well is we just have a balanced relationship.
Yes.
We both work a lot. We exercise a lot. We have, you know, amazing teams on the different businesses. And it's a balance, you know, work-life balance. I couldn't tell it any other way.
So who wins on the debate of the Sauvignon Blanc here?
Sarah.
Cheers, by the way.
Sarah.
This is the hell of a wine, dear friends. So tell us about this wine, because not only it's an amazing in the bottle, but at the same time you have a great innovation, which we believe a lot in, of course, and that's maybe one of the future of wine.
Oh, having a screw cap. Well, I like to think the easiest way, and I think this would probably be echoed by how you would describe it, right? From a winemaking standpoint, a winery standpoint, if you have a screw cap, you're trying to capture a moment in time. Mm-hmm. We're trying to give you something from the winery, from Raymond, from JCB, wherever it is, with a cap on it that captures what it tastes like for us at the winery. Whereas if it's a cork finish, we're trying to deliver something that's going to age.
Yes.
So by having the cork, it allows oxygen to pass through, allows natural, a very microscopic amount, but it allows aging. So the wines become more refined, you know, they become lengthier, they end up being more developed. Where something like Sauvignon Blanc, you want to capture the acid, the sweet fruit. You're trying to capture that moment.
Which you have done.
Thank you.
Magnificently.
Where's your Sauvignon Blanc from?
Well, you know, I'm a big believer in screw cap. You know, we were the first wine in Burgundy to start Grand Cru screw cap in 2002.
Wow.
We put Chambertin in a screw cap. We put Chablis-les-Clos Grand Cru in a screw cap, and we put Corton Charlemagne in a screw cap. And we still do. But the best moment I've had with screw cap, Joel, is in our historical cellar, which was built in 1640 by the Ursuline sisters, looking for my sister's birthday. And suddenly, in one of the pile, we discovered 1965 and 1967 Vaughan Romanée Premier Cru screw cap.
And they were doing it as a laboratory.
That's right. They were doing as samples. And you know, the Swiss have been doing it since the 40s. And then we're very close to Switzerland. So the Burgundians have been doing tests, and many people did it in the 70s. It didn't fly. You know, the French could be resistant to tradition, to wanting to have tradition. And it never really took off. And we started it again in 2000. And now a third of Burgundy wines is screw cap. So I'm so glad to see that. Now, tell us, grandfather in the wine world, your dad as well, why wine, and how did you get started?
Grandfather worked at Inglenook, or worked for Hubline, which owned Inglenook. Down the line, my dad grew up here, so there was a natural, just, you know, if you from here, you're going to see grapes more before you're going to see walnuts or something else. And so he ended up fascinated with wine, went to UC Davis for a viticulture enology degree, so I grew up as my younger years around wineries, around vineyards, around food, distributors, as we both know. You're always entertaining and cooking and pouring them wines. So I grew up in that environment, which allowed me to have an appreciation and admire what I saw in the industry. So out of high school, my first job was at Kenwood Vineyards, just, 5 miles over the hill here. Yeah. I worked for Mike Lee there, and I became fascinated with it. I convinced my parents that I didn't need to go to school.
So you didn't?
No school.
Do you believe in fate?
Well, I don't know. You probably would be better at that, not me.
Well, I do. I think somehow, probably in your DNA is wine, in your blood is white and red on each side. And I think maybe you were meant to do what you're doing.
Well, we were at the right time, because can you imagine trying to start a $15 Sauvignon Blanc brand today? It'd be very hard.
That's right.
Unless you're one of the big guys. And so, I think because of the time in the 90s when I was in my 20s and I take big risks, I started at the right time. I wanted to make wine. I loved it. My girlfriend was, a wine chemist, if you would. Yeah. So that gave us an ability, an advantage, and some credit cards.
So define what is it to take risks? Because what I admire, we've been friends for many years now. You take risks, but you take calculated risk in many ways. A lot of our friends listening are in businesses, or they may want to start their own business, or they may want to just go wild as you have. What is it to you to take risk?
I think today risk would be defined by trying to do what you know is naturally right.
Yes.
But you don't know if other people are going to consider that correct. It's like creating a new brand. I mean, you're the king of creating new brands. So you take a risk every time you make a new brand, a new wine, a partnership. And to us, like, if you don't take a risk, you won't ever advance. So to me, the definition would be take a little bit of a chance to advance you and your team. And I love that stuff. And now I get to work with so many great people that we get to take safer risks because I have more talent around me. So the risks are not as bad as before. When I started this place, I didn't know a damn thing about running a restaurant. So I'd worked in restaurants, but I didn't know exactly how to
cool.
Pull the money out of the register every night and do what with it, right? Or how to order things. So that risk was much bigger then. But today, those risks are not. We have a very good friend in common named Charles Beeler. And I remember one of the first times I met you, maybe 15 years ago, 20 years ago in Aspen.
That's right.
He said, hey, this is before you bought Raymond. He said, hey, that's John Charles Boisset. Watch him. He's very smart. He's a leader. He will think of things before the industry knows that they want it or the consumer knows they want it.
Well, he's very nice.
And I know exactly.
I'm thinking of things before because I look at what Joe is doing.
No, I know exactly where we were. You know the fountain in Aspen?
Yes,
you know where the Aspen Food.
I remember the day as if it was yesterday.
Yeah, on the corner.
We both had ideas of alternative package, and I think you have a big commitment on the environment yourself. You're a big believer of that. Maybe you want to explain to everyone who may not be aware of what you do: sustainable farming, organic, and obviously alternative package.
Yeah, so we try to farm sustainably everywhere. We try to farm as much organically as humanly possible. Yeah. And what that means is in a year like this, it's easy to farm organic. In a year like 2011, when we had a lot of rain and we had frost and we had many difficulties, it's hard to farm organic. So we try to always farm organic. And by the way, it's, as you know, it's almost cheaper to farm organic than it is to farm with any other processes in the vineyard. And then on the winemaking side, the biggest challenge that we all have in the wine industry is this is our historical package, right? Yeah. It's a piece of glass, melted sand. It's heavy to ship, and there's all these things. So one of the things that we've played with is Tetra Pak, like what you buy almond milk in.
For sure.
And we put wine in it. It'll never be like you're never going to buy, Grand Cru Burgundy in it.
But it's a great way to reduce and reuse and recycle, for sure.
Everyday wine, it's a very great, convenient package.
I think we're going to evolve in all that as the next generation obviously is used to all that.
Yeah, so our brand is called Bandit, right? And what we found where Bandit works is, with the siren going on, Bandit works really well for like the environmental mindset. I'm going hiking, I can take a Tetra Pak with me. We're going to a ballpark. We're going to see I see you have a partnership with the Giants.
Yeah, of course.
We're going somewhere that I need flexibility.
Well, talking about this, we got to finish Let's finish it. Let's show the world that we drink wine. I love it. So on that note, maybe I'll serve you a little bit. We didn't see that, of course.
What do we have here?
So we have Triple Play. It's a partnership with the Giant on a lovely little winery we own named Wattle Creek, which is in Sonoma. And it's a great relationship we have, and it's a wine that maybe will remind you of a Triple Play. This is Rhone style based.
Go to Rhone.
Yep. And a lovely wine, but very much like you. So, dear friends, you all need to know Joel is quoted in all the business magazines as a great success story. One of them I love is Forbes. And there's a question that Mariani asks you, the journalist, who is great. He says, you make wine in a very unorthodox way. Would you define that for us? Because you're very unique in your approach and very innovative in it as well.
So what John Charles is asking is, so like this, the Triple Play from Wattle Creek is Sonoma appellation. So you take the appellation of Sonoma County, you only buy grapes from there, you make the wine in Sonoma County. What we like to do is not only work with Sonoma County, but Napa County, Monterey County, Santa Barbara County, San Luis Obispo County, which is Paso Robles, and Mendocino. And so we like to work all over the state of California, you know, from Mendocino all the way down to Santa Barbara. And we farm by looking at how well will Sauvignon Blanc do in all these counties. Where can we farm well there? And then how do we take all those different vineyards after fermentation, after, you know, the wine is still, then we end up trying to blend them together. And what wine can we make that is has better acid structure, better fruit structure, better mouthfeel? So we just look in a blending process, which my wife Sarah is probably
one of the best ever.
No, but not in competitively, but for us, that's what she really likes to do.
No, but she's very talented. And when you make wine yourself with Sarah, what do you think about?
Balance. Balance is everything. I think it's like with food. It's how do you have acid, structure, sweet fruit, tannins? Like how does it fill your mouth? How do you end up with something that isn't too much alcohol, not enough alcohol, too sweet, too dry? It's somewhere in the middle. It's kind of like having salt, right? You need a little bit of salt to make something savory. And so I think with something like Sauvignon Blanc, you need a little bit of savoriness. But you have to have acid, but you have to have sweet fruit. So it's a balance.
Do you think of food as well and what people are eventually going to have with that wine, or you just think of the wine itself and then it's open?
I wish I could say I thought of the food, but I think more of the wine in a style that will go with food.
I see.
You know, and you and I both know the wines that have a lot of sugar don't do well with food.
That's right.
Because all you taste is the sugar, you don't taste the food.
You don't want dominance.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure like these, right? Amazing with food, but you also have to have the right food for the right woman.
How is it to be raised in Napa Valley?
It's not bad. I mean, it's great. I mean, but what's amazing in Napa, as you know, is it's changed a lot, right?
Yeah.
And the evolution is only getting better. If you go to Yountville today, Yountville is amazing. It is the great destination in Napa Valley because you see what, like, as America thinks about coming on vacation to Napa Valley,
it's
like Disneyland.
That's right.
And then we're seeing an evolution in Calistoga to that. We, in the 90s, St. Helena was that, and they all evolve. And that's why people want to come here.
So what is your dream in terms of seeing this valley evolving into? Because you're a big actor of change. You've bought a lot of real estate. You're doing a lot of great projects. What is your Joe Gott interpretation of the future of
I would
San
say
Helena
the best of Napa would be if we could have this bike path go through.
Yeah.
I think from like riding a bike through Burgundy is the most memorable experiences I have.
Sure.
And
not bad. And everybody should do it.
I agree. It was honestly one of the best things I've ever done. So we need that here. And there's too many cars on these roads.
Yes.
So we need this. We need another way for people to enjoy the valley. I hope the wine train someday becomes something that you and I would love to go on if we were there. Today it's a little closed in, but maybe someday we'll have a JCB car.
We'd love
cafe.
We ready?
Yeah.
You know the French. I used to go to school by train.
Yeah.
You know, you go 3 miles away, but you jump on the train and jump off on the train. That's the way we believe and we function.
Could you imagine if you could get off in Yountville and walk around Yountville, get on the train and stop at Raymond and have some wine and a little bit of food, and then take the train up and maybe stop at Dina DeLuca. And
Well, maybe at Gott.
gone.
We'll stop at Gott actually
Okay,
for food. That would be the destination. So what advice would you give to people in general who in life right now want to dive into the world of wine and food and Napa Valley and the dream of California?
I think the best advice I would give would be is if the wine business, there's a lot of wine out there, and you can only fool a customer once. So if you give them bad wine one time, they don't come back to your brand. So
That's
if
right.
you always focus on, no matter what price point you're at, try to do the best job in quality. And then, the other part of wine country would be is if you want to be involved in wine country, try to make things that are entertaining for people. They want to come, they want to experience it. So we want authentic, great times.
So on that note, what is your passion besides wine?
You know what? 3 kids. I've got
Well,
one
that's
more
good.
than you.
Well, you were faster than I was.
Yeah, riding bicycles, running.
So athletics.
Yeah, athletics. Spending time with the businesses.
And what drives you to do what you're doing?
I don't know, what else would I do? I would be a horrible employee. You would have fired me by now.
I would work for you.
The way around. All right.
On that note, I know the fabulous food is coming. So we have it, so we got to try it. So we are in heaven at the entrance of Santa Elena at Gott's, and here we are. We have your amazing menu. So you created all this. Shall we?
I created with an amazing team.
For sure. Always. But do you want to tell us a little bit about the evolution? You talk about trends in food, healthiness, incorporating obviously from tuna to fresh produce to the farm to the table to roasting to doing all this. So Joe, show us.
What?
You're the chef.
So really what it is we look to, we look at food trends, we see what people are wanting. I mean, it sounds silly, but like Brussels sprouts, right?
Yes.
Roasted Brussels sprouts. I mean, you don't see them everywhere, but we see this food trend going on in fine dining. And so we try things here to see if it'll work. So we started doing it now. We literally on some days can't make enough.
Really?
Wow.
Let's give it a try. I could see you gave us a little spoon, fork
please,
here.
please.
So do we put the lime on it?
Yeah. And then you've got.
So describe what everybody's going to feel when they taste it. So
the
how
best,
do you make it?
So the best part, they're little baby cabbages is what a Brussels sprout is, right? It grows on a big stalk. They're really wild looking things.
Yeah.
But what we do is we soak them in water,
Yeah.
and then we fry them in a little bit of vegetable oil, and then
Yeah.
all they have is sea salt on them afterwards. And then this is a roasted pepper mayonnaise.
Mm-hmm.
And so you end up with a little bit of that, earthy, like root vegetable flavor. And then you've got a little bit of burnt, so it's nice. It has a little bit of the crust to it.
Yeah.
And then a little bit of a roasted pepper mayonnaise.
Wow.
Goes well with Sauvignon Blanc.
It goes so well with the Sauvignon Blanc. I was just thinking.
And what we look for
And easy to
inspiration-
make for people at home as well.
Of course. It's really easy to do on a sheet pan like this. You cut Brussels sprouts in half. You put a bunch of olive oil and salt on them, like more olive oil than you think.
Mm-hmm.
And then what I prefer to do is I get the sheet pan hot at maybe 450 degrees in an oven.
Yeah.
Pull the sheet pan out, dump the olive oil, rolled over Brussels sprouts onto the hot pan, stick it in your oven. Takes about 25 minutes.
Wow.
You pull them out. Squeeze a little bit of lemon or lime on it, just to have a little bit of acid and maybe a little more salt, and it's an amazing side.
I got to tell you, with the Sauvignon Blanc, it highlights both.
So we look for inspiration. We think there's
I
food
love
trends out there. Jen Redmond, who runs our culinary department, saw this trend in chicken sandwiches, and that's so anybody can have a chicken sandwich, but she took it to a chicken schnitzel.
Okay.
But it has some Eastern flavors on it,
Wow.
right? So you end up with like this great spicy mayonnaise, but it's not.
You got to
hot
show
spicy.
us. Shall we open it up to show
Please,
everyone?
please.
Because this is unexpected. I did not know you were doing this one here.
And so it's fun. We can just
Wow.
But it's it's simple. It's just
Great
a
color coordination.
simple
too.
organic bun. It's cucumbers, a spiced mayonnaise, pickled beets, arugula, and then a piece of chicken that has been flattened, right?
Yeah.
So it's tender. And then it's breaded, not breaded in a traditional way. It's basically breadcrumbs, a little bit of egg wash, and you end up with this incredible. Please try.
Wow, I'm gonna take a piece like that.
I don't know how you do it.
I want to make
need a
sure
knife.
we share. You know, in life we got to share everything. Chin chin.
Cheers.
Dear friends, I hope you're jealous. You don't want to be jealous. You want to be envious. But, wow.
One of my favorites.
Unbelievable. The depth, the richness, the crustiness. So you beat a little bit the chicken, you flatten it.
We actually have an amazing machine.
Uh-huh.
Little machine that helps us pound them evenly.
Wow.
Technology.
And what a great beat.
Pickled beets, yeah.
Yeah.
Fun, right?
Love it. And it's ready as is. This is so fun to be able to. So you do a lot of your own pickles as well, right?
Correct. We have a commissary kitchen where we make a lot of the sauces, a lot of the seasonings, cut some of the vegetables, and so we can control it all in-house.
Yeah, for sure. Very important. And how many locations now?
We have 7. So the one here is the original, and then down into the Bay Area.
Yeah, so Santa Helena,
Napa,
of course.
Walnut Creek,
Yep.
Marin, San Francisco, Palo Alto, and then at the Chase Stadium. We're right next to the Warriors. I mean, right next to the Giants.
That's why we
Warriors.
thought the Giants had to be here, because we're thinking you're going to open in the stadium soon.
Soon. Let's hope soon.
McDonald's is shaking, ladies, but super, super ultra premium. So what about those little fries? They look very good here.
Well, those are very traditional French fries. You
Yeah.
could probably be a better critic on those than I will ever be.
Very crispy, but I love them because they're thin.
Where I think that people, like, when you come to wine country, right, you want little surprises. So like a chicken schnitzel, but something like this, which is organic tortillas that we fry every morning into the old classic taco shell. And then we get fresh ahi in. We make ahi pokey. It has a lemon lime coleslaw, a little bit of sesame seed, and then the pokey over the top, which is a pokey is basically fresh tuna chopped, and then it has similar to like a ponzu
Yeah.
over the top of it. So you end up with this great, and it has a little bit of spicy aioli on the bottom of it. So great fresh pokey.
For sure.
I mean, these are one of our most popular items.
Well,
you
it's gorgeous.
You don't expect to find it.
I mean, let's show our friends how gorgeous it is. And you don't expect that at all.
No.
Into Gott's in general. And what sauce do you have at the base here? I can see
It's a spicy aioli, so it's essentially would be like, sambal, the spicy.
Yep.
It's like that, but it also has a little bit of mayonnaise in it, so it's a spice but yet creamy.
Yeah, phenomenal. Looks good. And I need to tell you, my daughters, my lovely wife and I order this one consistently.
Oh,
we
good.
love it.
Thank you.
And it's great, and it can travel all the way to the house as well, and we can have it in the house and watching a movie or something. This is great.
Okay.
Now, what I love is this Wattle Creek, which is a California red blend. So you were talking about an easy wine to have as your Sauvignon Blanc, something very enjoyable with spices and sauces. I love it as well with your chicken.
Thank you.
So I don't know what you think of it. Maybe you describe it into 3 words.
Well,
give me 3 winemakers' words.
Well, first would be Rhone style, right? So you can smell Mourvedre and Syrah. And then you also have, to me, what is always appealing about Rhone wines is that they're soft, but you have spice or black pepper or that the little bit of heat on top of it. To me, they're just really appealing. And then
great description, dear friends. Much better than what I could do.
But then you also have fruit.
Yeah.
To me, it's so important. That's why Rhone wines, like if you buy a Chateauneuf or something, you end up with that sweet fruit on the finish.
Talking about this.
Okay.
Here's Chateauneuf. Dear friends, I wanted to share with Joe, every time we've seen each other, it's either Napa Valley or Burgundy. We've never had a Rhone wine. And this is one of the iconic, most historical, obviously, appellation in the Rhone Valley. And this one, I wanted Joe to talk about dedication in general. So there's a wine under Boisson, which is our old winery from the 19th century. One of the oldest, the first cooper ever in the Rhone Valley. and they decided to start a winery thereafter. And we have this very successful wine called Dedication. So I think you should be the one talking about dedication and legacy and the continuity of your world.
Well, but tell me, remind me, how many years was the Pope there in Chattanooga? The
That's
Pope
right.
moved, right, from Italy to
So
the Rhone
roughly
Valley.
from the 1200 to the 1500. So almost 200 years we had, that lovely Pope, that wonderful man coming to Avignon, and the Palais des Papes, the palace of the Pope, and he lived there.
Wow.
But before we go to the wine, even, what else do we have here?
Okay. Well,
Oh, we're going to continue because
so this is classic.
this is all
right?
about food, and this is the king. Right?
So this is cheeseburger, very simple. It's just, it's all American classic. It's Niman Ranch, beef from Colorado, to secret sauce, of course. We can't tell you what's in it. American cheese, lettuce, tomato, pickle, and bread that is made for us in San Francisco by Panorama.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's great.
So you really created your own bread recipe as well.
Yes, yeah.
So
the
you
guys
went-
at Panorama, Pascal.
Yeah, of course, absolutely.
Yeah. So anyhow, I think it's
A great
it's
Frenchman,
an
another one.
Yeah, no, it's an American standard, right? And then other little things like onion rings, of course. We all love onion rings, Idaho onions. And then, Cobb salad, pretty easy. This
Yeah, but
is
great to have.
Yeah.
Tell us, Idaho onions, because we grow a lot of Italian onions at the wineries and Raymond specifically, whether it's the Parma onions, the pink onions. Why Idaho? Is the ring bigger?
No, it's actually because we get to work with a company there that controls not only the fields, right? So
Okay.
not only where they're growing, but also the distribution back to us, so that we can get the onions cut, breaded to our spec, frozen, and then shipped to us.
See, there's a lot to it to own an amazing restaurant.
No, that's over years. Remember, it took us 20 years to figure this stuff out.
But this is amazing. So that's this onion ring. Right?
Yes.
Why don't you describe it to our friends? Because
Well, I think onion rings are everybody's personal onion rings. If you go to mustards, it's the thin sliced,
That's right.
big pile. This is more the beer battered style, which this is beer battered. But everybody kind of has their thing. But I like personally kind of bigger pieces, so you get more texture to it. What I don't like is when you get an onion ring and you can't tell that there's an onion in it. So, these, you should be able to pull the actual onion out of it. And I'll do
That's
this
right.
pretty sloppily. So
wow,
actually,
look at this.
there's real onion. To me, that's important. And then the breading needs to be slightly sweet,
Yeah,
but savory. It's kind of like Sauvignon Blanc. You need a little bit of balance.
that's
So,
right. This is quite amazing. I never do onion rings, but this is fantastic. So what about this? So Hamburger America started where? Was it Hamburg, Germany?
Yeah, yes.
And then why is America so infatuated with burgers?
Well, probably because of Guy Fieri, Diners, Drive-In, and Dives, right? I mean, I think he's done a good job in highlighting classic America. But I would assume, or not assume, but it was the 40s and 50s,
Yeah.
McDonald's success. It was an inexpensive beef sandwich that people
Yeah.
could have. It took on a cult following, drive-ins. It became like a staple American food. Kind of like French fries became
right.
staple American. But, I think it's just one of those things that, Americans fell in love with. And I don't know why. Like they fell in love with all of our wines. So
That's great though. Isn't it fantastic? And can you believe that McDonald's biggest success, probably one of them, is France? So who would have thought the French would love to eat with their hands and adopt such a great burger? So Joel, few more minutes.
please.
What advice would you give to the world in general today in 2020? You're very wise. You have wonderful kids, a great wife, a great family. What's your view of the world today?
Well,
I know it's a big question.
It's a weird time. It's a bad time to have advice, right? I don't know. I would say the advice I'd give people right now is be smart. There's we're in the world of COVID now, right? So, and people, we've all changed the way we eat, all changed the way we shop, what we do at home. We're spending more time together as families now. So, I would take advantage of the time and, try to be smart about what I do. And I would probably drink more wine.
I love that. Have you spent more time with your family as well?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And Are you feeling the family dynamics is greater now than ever before?
Well, like you, right? We did homeschooling, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, that's all. You and I are not meant to be teachers. I'm
No.
sure we discovered
Certainly
that quickly.
you more than me.
So, you know, I would say that, you know, for everybody watching, right?
Once again, your orders at the bar, Kobe.
If you have kids, right, it's a new dynamic. It was something you didn't expect to do. So I would try to make the best of it.
Yeah.
You know, more cooking together, more, you know, time together, hiking, backpacking, bike riding, everything we can do.
So Châteauneuf-du-Pape is full of secret as a wine. You know, we never know exactly the blend because it's a field selection. You know, we go in the vineyards, 7 grape varieties, 8, 9, it depends on the vineyards and where it is. What is a secret you're willing to share you've never shared with anyone that you want to share with us today? So,
Well, I don't know if there's a secret. I'd say the secret to all of our businesses are the teams of people that make them happen. You know, none of this stuff happens with just me. You know, the beets don't get pickled, the Sauvignon Blanc doesn't get
that's true.
picked. So I would say that's our biggest secret.
Is
We have
there
an amazing team.
So what's your dream?
The dream, that you know, like from wine world, right? That more people appreciate wine. You know, we're in a time when people drink all sorts of seltzers and other things, and I think you and I probably both grew up on wine. I'm hoping that the pendulum, you know, seltzers takes people into, you know, trying other things like back to wine. So I'd love to see the wine industry see another great surge. I'd like to see more people cook, take inspiration from food. You go out as a family.
That's
you
right.
and Gina and the girls are out, and
For sure.
you have Brussels sprouts and you make them at home. So maybe, you know, there's more food inspiration. We'd love to see the restaurants grow. More people, you know, where we can have more of these so people can enjoy what we do.
Love
And
it.
enjoy your wines.
Well, Joel, thank you for an amazing day. This was such a fabulous afternoon at Joel Gott destination, Gott in Santa Elena. Remember, there's 7 of those and amazing wines, great inspiration, great leadership, and the man to watch in Napa Valley. Dear friends, enjoy tonight.